Welcome to my another video. Let's see what Ryzen has done. Before going into the video, please like, share among your friends, and do subscribe. The AMD Ryzen 9 3900X isn't just AMD's best mainstream processor right now. It's also currently the king of all mainstream processors, with multi-threaded performance that destroys everything in its path to start. You won't find a processor more impressive without stepping up to the head market. Best high-end CPU, AMD Ryzen 9 3950X. The highest tier in the Ryzen 3000 series is the performance powerhouse you're looking for. If you want something for heavily threaded computer work, besides high-end gaming, the Ryzen 9 3950 also blasts through processing tasks. If you're primarily interested in gaming performance, you need at least a mid-range Intel Core i5 or AMD Ryzen 5 CPU. Considering that the graphics card is more important for gaming than the processor, you can save money by not getting a more powerful Core i7 or Ryzen 7 chip. This processor is fantastic for gaming, since modern games need more cores to run. But it also has great per-core performance, which is something AMD has struggled with in the past. Since the 9900K is Intel's best gaming CPU, this makes the Ryzen 9 3900X one of the best AMD processors for gaming. So the Ryzen 9 3900X can handle 24 instruction threads, while the Core i9-9900K can handle 16. The Core i9-9900K has a base frequency of 3.6 GHz and a maximum boost frequency of 5 GHz. Compared with the Ryzen 9 3900X's base 3.8 GHz speed and 4.6 GHz maximum boost. Both can be overclocked. AMD Sensemi technology. With AMD Sensemi technology, Ryzen processors use true machine intelligence to accelerate performance. Zen core architecture. Improved energy efficiency, higher clock speeds and more cores than ever before. AMD Ryzen Master Utility. The simple and powerful overclocking utility for AMD Ryzen processors. Precision Boost 2. AMD's intelligent processors have a sophisticated set of sensors designed to analyze conditions inside your PC, and also make the go faster decision as often as possible. AMD Game Cache. Up to twice the cache of previous generations. Game Cache is designed to reduce memory latency for higher frame rates in top titles. One-click overclocking. Precision Boost Overdrive uses your motherboard's robust design to boost clock speeds higher and longer, and lets you overclock 4 at the touch of a button. Core i9 is the better choice. If, however, you actually need boatloads more multi-threading performance, and you're willing to give up essentially single-digit performance in light and single-threaded loads, then Ryzen 9 is the better choice. So let's see some game performance and some benchmarks of it. Next up we have Forza Horizon 4. Here the 3900X trailed by a 4% margin when comparing out-of-the-box performance. That margin was halved with both CPUs overclocked, and at this point we think it's fair to say the 9900K is maximizing the RTX 2080 Ti's performance. This is largely a GPU-bound game, but it's still worth testing given its quality and popularity. It's a gorgeous and fun game, and there is no doubt about it. StarCraft 2 was heavily requested for this comparison, and we have to admit this is the first time we've benchmarked a worst-case scenario in this title. Previous benchmarks have been based on 2 versus 2 gameplay, but it seems where Ryzen really struggles is with the bigger 4 versus 4 matches when all teams are maxed out. So what we have here is a worst-case scenario, and unfortunately for AMD, the Core i9 is up to 19% faster out of the box when comparing the average frame rate. With both CPUs overclocked, the 9900K was 12% faster, which is still a reasonable performance advantage. 1% low performance was closer, but the gap was still there between the two. The Core i9-9900K got back to its winning ways in Apex Legends, though here the 3900X was only 7% slower, dropping 10 FPS on average when comparing stock performance. The margin did grow slightly once both CPUs were overclocked. Now the 3900X is seen to be 10% slower. The second Battle Royale title we tested is Fortnite, and while the 3900X was plenty fast, it still lagged behind. Although we see a minor 5% deficit for the average frame rate, the Ryzen processor was up to 13% slower when looking at the 1% low performance. If you don't need over 160 FPS, then the 3900X will do just fine, but if you seek maximum performance, you'll want the 9900K. We found the Ryzen 9 3900X to be 8% slower on average across the 9 games we tested. By adding another 27 games to the mix, things haven't changed much, and surprisingly this played in AMD's favor to an extent. When it comes to value, these new results don't change much either. If you ignore the bundled box cooler, the 3900X is a little more costly per frame than the 9900K. However, if you plan to use the Wraith Prism out of the box, then the 3900X is a little cheaper than the Intel processor. At the end of the day, they're both $500 CPUs, and depending on what you use your PC for, one might be better than the other. If you plan to use your PC for a multitude of tasks and not only to play games, but also create videos, 3D models, or do anything that can take advantage of a 12-core processor, the Ryzen 9 3900X is going to be a significantly better investment. For productivity tasks in general, Ryzen is considerably faster than the Core i9 as shown in our full review. Ultimate Gaming Performance Test. A battle that needs no further introduction. We're pitting the new Ryzen 9 3900X head-to-head against the Core i9 9900K in 36 games. There's loads of results to go over, and this article is solely focused on PC gaming performance. We've also ran an IPC clock for clock test comparing against Intel CPUs and a cooling comparison, using the stock Wraith Prism cooler versus a liquid cooler on the Ryzen 9. There's also stock and overclocked configurations for the Core i9 9900K. Though they are both technically overclocked, as we aren't power limiting the Intel CPU. This is better explained as out of the box and then manual overclocked. The stock R out of the box configuration uses DDR4-3200 CL14 memory, with the Corsair H115i on the Gigabyte Z390 Ultra. Then for the overclocked configuration, the memory has been upgraded to DDR4-3600 CL16 with an all-core clock of 5 GHz. All testing took place at 1080p using an MSI RTX 2080 graphics card to remove GPU bottlenecks. We'll look at the margins for all 36 games towards the end of the review, but first we'll go over and briefly discuss the findings for about a dozen of the titles tested. We tested the latest version of World War Z, which brings about a number of fixes and performance improvements. Both stock and overclocked, the 9900K was 2% faster than the 3900X, which is a negligible difference. Needless to say, the gaming experience was indistinguishable between the two CPUs, and both allowed the RTX 2080 to render over 160 FPS at all times. The Core i9 9900K got back to its winning ways in Apex Legends, though here the 3900X was only 7% slower, dropping 10 FPS on average when comparing stock performance. The margin did grow slightly once both CPUs were overclocked. Now the 3900X is seen to be 10% slower. The second Battle Royale title we tested is Fortnite, and while the 3900X was plenty fast, it still lagged behind. Although we see a minor 5% deficit for the average frame rate, the Ryzen processor was up to 13% slower when looking at the 1% low performance. If you don't need over 160 FPS, then the 3900X will do just fine, but if you seek maximum performance, you'll want the 9900K. Despite offering silky smooth frame rates in Battlefield V, the 3900X was still quite a bit down on the 9900K, trailing by an 8% margin for the average frame rate and 11% for the 1% low. We saw similar margins for the stock and overclocked results. The third and final Battle Royale game we tested is PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. We're not using the replay feature to measure performance, rather we're dropping into the same map at the same spot and measuring performance that way. The 9900K was faster overall, but the 3900X was only 4% slower on average, so not a bad result for AMD. Far Cry New Dawn isn't a great title for AMD CPUs, though it's not that bad either. Here the 3900X was 9% slower out of the box and 10% once both CPUs were overclocked. Performance was perfectly acceptable, but for maximum performance the 9900K does deliver the best results. Moving on to F1 2019, the 3900X was 7% slower out of the box. But once overclocked, that margin was reduced to 3% as both processors enabled a similar level of performance. This is one of those instances where if you don't need to keep frame rates well above 144 FPS, it really doesn't matter which CPU you use. Where the 3900X did surprise was in Monster Hunter World. Both processors delivered similar average frame rates, yet the 1% low figure was 13% higher with the Ryzen processor. Once overclocked, the 3900X was the clear winner, offering not just greater 1% low performance but a slight improvement in average frame rate performance as well. The Resident Evil 2 results are interesting. Stock the 3900X was 6% slower on average but provided stronger 1% low performance, beating the 9900K by 4%. Then when overclocked, the average frame rates were much the same, while the Ryzen processor still provided better minimum frame rate performance. Overall, the experience was much the same using either CPU. Next up we have Assassin's Creed Odyssey, and this is another title where Intel is a little faster on average, but you'll never notice the 4% reduction in average frame rates when using the 3900X. That's particularly true given the strong 1% low performance of the Ryzen processor. At launch we saw AMD claiming, using their own benchmarks, that the 3900X was faster than the 9900K in Counter-Strike Global Offensive, and we have to admit we didn't believe them. But lo and behold, the 3900X was a smidgen faster, performance was basically the same overall, but we didn't expect the 3900X to push average frame rates higher than the 9900K. So that we tested some games using the Ryzen 3900X. Its performance is not that much equal to i9, but it did fine. If you want to build a PC with low cost and a better performance, I recommend you Ryzen. But if you want more performance at full max settings, there is no way. You should only go to Intel i9. So that's it. This is my video about the latest Ryzen processor and some gaming benchmarks. Please do like, share, and don't forget to subscribe. Let's see on a other video.